Well, last night we took you inside the Boundary Waters for some expert advice on staying safe and being prepared when you head over into the wilderness.
All right, and tonight Fox 21's Brittney Merlot takes us back into some remote Boundary Waters locations to show us what it's like when the weather turns severe in this popular tourist destination.
On my very first day in the Boundary Waters, the weather turned severe on me. And after that experience, I wanted to talk with others who have survived the worst in the wilderness, knowing and sharing valuable tips on handling some of the most dangerous weather situations possible. You look up and see sunshine and blue skies. But even if conditions are calm, you should always have a plan for bad weather, especially if tall cotton ball-like clouds form all around you.
What you can do to prepare is find out, okay, where would I go in a lightning storm? And you really need to get down to lower ground. You've got a better chance. So you need to scout those areas out before the storm hits.
People often spend long stretches at a time exploring the Boundary Waters. I spent 2 weeks and went through a hailstorm and a mudslide.
I suppose you spent 123 days with another dude.
Ricky spent 123 days straight there, living through a straight-line windstorm.
We were lucky I had a big open site that didn't have any trees around it. We actually camped on a hill at like a 45-degree angle almost. So we were sliding down in the tent, but we were away from the trees, which was the biggest thing.
Ricky and his friends survived, but
that same storm, we had a young lady who was airlifted a lake away from us, so seeing that's always kind of nerve-wracking. You don't know what's happening and what's going on and what the extent of the damage is.
Experts know staying inside of your tent in this situation is not the place to be, because tents are usually surrounded by trees.
If you're listening to a weather radio, it can be kind of scary because they're saying the storm's coming, everybody get inside. You know, get inside a sturdy shelter. And if you're in the wilderness, it's just not an option at all.
In spring and summer, if there's a lot of rain saturating the ground, puddling up water, all you need is a strong storm and strong winds to uproot trees, blow them over, and put you in a dangerous situation out in the wilderness. Now, what to do in a situation like that is head upwind of the storm, go into the wind, head to the lake in a clear area away from trees, and that is your safest bet.
It's always tricky. Of course, if it happens in the middle of the night, are you really going to want to get out of your tent in a big storm? So you just got to weigh those risks.
After safely getting through this storm, Ricky's new concern is the aftermath left in this remote region.
There are some portages that were pretty tangled with downed trees, so we have to snake our way through, lifting the canoe over the trees and under the trees. It's pretty tricky.
The thought of being trapped in the wilderness becomes a possibility.
Right off the bat, everybody just starts responding, whether it's cutting open roads, whether it's the 911 call comes in, and we had to physically check every campsite, which is very difficult to get to. Yes, we can do that.
John himself is no stranger to severe weather in the Boundary Waters. He was in both the 1999 and the 2016 blowdown.
I was out with 2 other people, and we were actually just fishing. I wasn't working in the wilderness that day.
It was a hot 80-degree day with no wind and very muggy out.
The storm hit this area at about noon. And we had pulled off the lake because we were on an island, and we just thought we were going to wait out this storm. But when it hit, and we realized what was going on, and all the trees were going over, and you could hardly see it. It picks everything up off the ground, whether it's water, pine needles, whatever. And those trees that we were downwind of were bent right over us. And I don't know what we both said, but we just yelled, and we ran.
His friends ran downwind as trees came down around them. John dashed into the wind and towards the shoreline.
On my way to the lake, a very large tree went over, and it went over by the roots. So this root ball, which, you know, can be 30 feet across, came up and went vertical and actually tossed me backwards. And I landed on my feet, and I looked down and my dog was with me, so I had completely forgotten I had a dog with me. That's how scared I was.
As John and his dog ran around the tree and towards the water.
And I almost didn't make it there. There was trees coming down. But once I made it to that shoreline, I just tried to hunker down behind a big tree that had just fallen over, and at least I knew that no more trees were going to get me.
Sitting on the water's edge kept him safe from falling trees, but he wasn't in the clear just yet.
And the waves looked like they were 4 to 6 feet high. All the water was being blown off the top of the waves, going horizontal. So being there, trying to get behind something right next to the water. It was still like being sprayed with a big fire hose. And it seems like it lasted 20 minutes.
As the wind and rain stopped, the sun came out and shined light on the destruction.
We found each other. They were alive. We got up on all these huge trees that were now horizontal. We were just actually very giddy, very excited because we survived something.
After catching their breath, they looked for their boat to go search and help others.
Even though it was sunk, we got it going, and we did a tour, and we found sites where everything in the site was demolished, and we pulled one person out who had a broken leg. We helped that person cross a portage. But that's what I mean. By that time, the response had already started over a very large area as far as people calling in if they could, or and there was already, plane flights in to get people, and then it ended up dominating the entire rest of the summer.
But despite the potential challenges, outdoor pros don't want the threat of future weather to scare you from experiencing the vast wilderness. The severe weather still leaves marks in the Boundary Waters. In fact, a year later, loggers are still cleaning up the debris that can act as fuel for future wildfires. In the Boundary Waters, with photojournalist Adam Jaganich, I'm meteorologist Brittney Merlot, KQDS, Fox 21.
I cannot imagine being out in that.
Oh my gosh, no way. And honestly, that was the first time I got that really personal feel of what it was like when that happened. Knew it was a big event, but never really got the personal feel. So good stuff.